This is absolutely why I believe that the border agents are going to come to an end by 2026 and there'll be some real investigations. There are several reasons. The first reason is that the Democrats are aware and very cognizant of the fact that Donald Trump's policies, the videos and images that people are seeing of the brutality of the pepper spraying babies, they're essentially putting guns in the faces of 17-year-olds. They have all these other things going on. It's very violent. The shooting in the head, clergy, stopping religious clergy from going to give people religious rights. What they see is going on at the detention centers are inhumane. The Alcatraz debacle, that it's all very cruel. And these are people who claim to be Christian, go to church, and they claim to follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ has taken the immigrants. Jesus Christ is all about the Beatitudes, is blessed are the poor. Every single thing about Christian nationalism, people who wear the cross and support the Trump administration, is they're doing it, and it's a bastardization. That's why people run away from religion. People run away from organized religion because the people who are leading it don't follow the teachings that they say they're supposed to adhere to. Donald Trump abuses Jewish people when he tries to use their religion as an excuse to deport people who protest in support of Palestine and say they're pro-Hamas. When he tries to take away funding away from universities in the vein of they're not protecting Jewish students enough. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has met with Nick Fuentes, who's a avowed neo-Nazi. When Tucker Carlson had Nick Fuentes on his show and Donald Trump was asked about it, he was like, I don't know. So how can you on one hand be claiming to punish people for protesting for Palestine and saying that is pro-Hamas, which is not? It is absolutely not. I'll put here a video of, well, I won't put it here, but there's a video of Palestinians chanting about Hamas being a terrorist organization. Hamas is not helping them. So if you're protesting in favor of these people, you're not also equal pro-Hamas, because those people don't like Hamas. But using religion and using Judaism and Islam, and Jewish people's faith as a means and excuse to take away funding from schools, saying the schools aren't doing enough to protect their students. That was just a rouge, because you can't be doing that. And then you have several people who are neo-Nazis in your administration. It just doesn't vibe well. So all of it is fake. None of it is real. It's performative. They're cosplaying a functioning government. And what's happening for the year, why I say that that's going on, because there is active websites, there's active intents, there's people in multiple states and multiple organizations, nonprofits that have been clocking every single thing that the Trump administration has done. Every single ICE agents that have done anything. There's someone who's filmed the incidences. You see there are a lot of people around it. People are filming it. They're documenting it. They'll be able to track. Why? Unless you got paid underneath the table, there's a payroll. And the thing about it is, some of the people who are working your agency, who were ICE before you guys came in, before the Trump administration, don't like what they're clocking that. So there's a backup. So even if you think that the pro-Trump people will try to do something to data, there's a backup. Here's the thing about data and government accountability, there is requirement to have records. We have records. So if you're doing something, if someone's in ICE and they're doing something, they think they're getting away with it, I'm here to tell you that you're not going to get away with it, because you get paid, and so they're clocking. And we know the time, place, dates when things happen. You have multiple people recording this, so we know the time, date, and place. When we track that you were on beat and you were assigned to that time, plate, and place, then you're on hook there. If anyone did anything to violate someone's rights, if someone's later on suing and you were clocked there, you're going to get accountable. So people are concerned, because they weren't accountable last time. Here's the difference between last time and this time. This time they're so aggressive, they're so openly violent and blatant, and they're not only just attacking non-people, there's plenty evidence of them attacking people first. They are racially profiling, they're just going after someone who's brown, who looks like Hispanic. That's against the law. The Supreme Court, I'm going to talk about that in another case. That's unlawful. So they're unlawfully targeting people. They're violating the Fourth Amendment every single day. And I know people say stuff to me like they don't care. It doesn't matter if they don't care. And first, also, you don't know that. You just say, but they're brutalizing, so that means they don't care. No, them being complicit with brutalizing, them doing something, does not mean they don't care about losing their life. You can't even say that. You're not in their head. You're saying, well, because they're doing it, then that means they don't care. No, there are a lot of people who are doing it because they are desperate. The same people, the same moneyed, rich people who abuse children, who traffic children, they know their victims. They pick their victims specifically because a lot of times the victims are coming from situations and households where they were abused. They're coming from a situation where they perhaps are leaving, trying to come into the country. They pick people who are coming from abusive households, who abuse children, who have nobody, who've been trafficked by their parents. They take all these victimized people. When Chrissy Nome, Tom Holman, all those the folks in the Department of Homeland Security, you see the people that are doing the job. A lot of those people are desperate. A lot of people are not necessarily the best educated. Yes, there's some goons. I know this because of the way they hesitate. How do you know that they know that they're not doing the law? This is how you know. This is explicit. How do you know they're not doing it? A police officer, an actual police officer has a warrant that is doing their job as a police officer. When they are called, someone calls them because there's a crime that's taking place, or crime that just finished taking place, or they believe something is going on fishy, and they go in and investigate. Police do not leave, do not abandon the effort, do not say, I'm coming to arrest this person, say, okay, never mind. They usually don't do that if they have a valid reason. You've met all of the standards in terms of reasonable suspicion, probable cause. You've met all the minimum standards to say that you have to come get this person. And when they go to get that person and the person is push up a fuss, they call for backup and they get it done. They don't go away. The fact that these ICE agents, when you tell them certain things, people get in their face, they say, nah, it's not worth it, because they know that one day they're secure in what they're doing. They're not sure what they're doing. And also they're whoever gave them the badge and told them to go do stuff poorly trained them. And so they're not quite sure. They're just trying to collect bodies for checks. There's a study that said like less than 1/3 of the people who ICE have detained have criminal background, have criminal history. So when Chrissy Nome, Donald Trump says they're taking the worst of worst, that's an absolute falsity. They're not. If you're taking the worst of the worst, why are you going to churches? Why are you going to elementary schools? Why are you going to daycare centers? Why are you going to school drop-off lines? Why are you going to Home Depot where people are actually working? Criminals aren't necessarily working. They're making their money selling drugs and being gangbangers. They're not going in there to collect materials they need from Home Depot because they have a job or they are working on a construction site. Why are you going to the construction sites? Why are you going to the bakeries? You're going to the places where people are working. Why are you going to the courthouses where people checked in? That tells you automatically there's no worst of the worst. It's been a lie. And then when we, the people, go through and look at the data, look at the when ProPublica and other investigative organizations go by, do what's called FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, and they start getting the data from all of the different courthouse arrests, all the different sieges and surges in DC and Portland and Chicago and LA. And we get the data, it shows that there's no criminals. Even when they came in on the Black Hawk helicopter in the middle of the night and zip-tied black children, pulled them out of their house, some of them naked, dehumanized them, and then they said, oh, this is because Trinidad Tobago again. At the end of the day, when we looked at the data, not one charge. They had two people who, one was like a petty, like gun charges. The other one was like a minor thing. There was no gang members. What happened to Stephen Miller saying, Trinidad Tobago, we went there to save the people? None of that stuff. It's a lie. It's a ruse. Every single thing they do, you have to realize, is just a front to go in and illegally and unlawfully deport people by violating the due process rights. Every single person and all of those folks who check in on a court system, everyone here who's undocumented, most people have rights to a process before they get deported. They're trying to do expedite deportation, and they're using these emergency bases, and they're doing smoke screens of like, we're coming over because of gang members. There's never any gang members. Whatever intelligence they have is usually faulty, because the mess up with the Trinidad Tobago mess with the Alien Enemies Act thing, they said like 90% of the people weren't even members of the gang, and they had no criminal background checks. So that was just an excuse for them to go deport 230 people. And some of there were some criminals in there. I'm not going to deny that. But the majority, they went and violated and disrupted and deported to be tortured. People who were here on temporary protective status, people who were minding their business, people, they just lied on them. They said their tattoos meant this. Their tattoos was like for Autism Speaks. The tattoo was like meant Real Madrid. Nothing to do with gangs, but they didn't care, because they were just trying to violate the law, get around the laws to give these people protection. That is it. It's a rouge. Every single thing is a lie. You can't believe any single thing that comes out of their mouth. The propaganda. They've taken a video that a young black man did related to Iran, a joke, and turned that into something else. That's defamation. They've done that multiple times. They've taken pictures. They went and arrested some black people, some black men for like loitering, and then took their mugshots and put it on the White House page and say, look at these thugs just pandering into racist tropes. So the administration has no credibility. They're racist, they're sexist, xenophobic, they're cosplaying, they're not doing anything. It's just a freaking mess. Because of that, there'll be real investigations with all the tools already put in place, and so everyone's going to be held accountable. And I'm going to be watching it. You stay tuned here. I'm tracking them for you. So if you're not following me on JJ Legal, share this video, let other people know. then I'll be tracking them and we're coming for them. So if you know anybody working for ICE, say that you can run, but you can't hide. It's just a matter of tax.